In major news from the United States, the Biden administration has banned funding for the Wuhan Institute of Virology in order to, and I quote, mitigate any public health risk, or that they say has likely violated protocols of the National Institutes of Health regarding biosafety. This is according to an official mentioned in the memo quoted by the New York Times, and they say the ban would mitigate any public health risk. We have detailed extensively the highly aggressive gain-of-function research that takes any virus, but in this instance, coronaviruses, and makes them able to infect humans when they might never have been able to before. They make them more transmissible and more virulent. As far back as May 2020, more than 3 years ago, in the Daily Telegraph, we reported that if this virus came from a Wuhan laboratory, we need to have this debate about whether gain-of-function research is worth the risk. Well, finally, the White House has said that, at least in Wuhan, at the Wuhan Institute of Virology, well, it's not worth the risk. Joining me now to discuss this and other topics is James Paterson, Liberal Senator and Shadow Minister for Home Affairs and Cyber Security. Great to see you, James. Is this a significant move for the Biden administration to be saying that the Wuhan Institute of Virology poses a public health risk?
Well, thank you for having me, Sharri. And yes, it is a significant move. As you've reported and others have as well, the Biden administration commissioned the intelligence community about a year ago to do a review of the best evidence available about the origins of the pandemic. And as a result of that review, the intelligence community in the United States came back as split. There are agencies within the intelligence community who believe it was natural in origin, and there are others who believe that a lab leak from the Wuhan Institute of Virology was the most likely source. Now, that is today still an unresolved scientific question. No one has produced convincing evidence of one or the other, although certainly they've got advocates on their both sides who say it is one or the other. But the Biden administration's recent decision to ban funding for this institute suggests that they think that it is still a very plausible theory and that could have been the source of the leak. There's really no other reason why they would make a decision and cite lab safety if they didn't believe that that theory still had credibility. And so this is a very important question that we do need to get to the bottom of, and it would be very helpful if the Chinese government would be more transparent and provide better access to that facility and to the data set that it holds so that the world can understand whether indeed it was this research that has caused this leak or whether indeed it was innocent and natural.
It's not actually clear if any world leaders are even asking Xi Jinping or any Chinese authorities to produce this data. We still don't have the database from the Wuhan Institute of Virology that contains some 22,000 viruses, so the details of those viruses. Do you think this is a question that world leaders should be asking of China?
It would seem strange to me, Sharri, that we wouldn't continue to be interested in the origins of this because, unfortunately, it's likely that there will be more pandemics in the future. And whether or not this was natural in origin or a lab accident is consequential in determining the kind of mitigations we should take to reduce the risk of those kind of pandemics breaking out in the future. There are different policy responses that you would make depending on what the actual origin was. And as we all know, this has had profound consequences on the lives of millions, if not billions of people. It has cost many lives. It has impacted severely other lives in relation to the public health measures that had to be taken in response. And of course, the enormous economic cost that the world has borne from this. So the lack of curiosity into getting to the bottom of this question is a concern.